curiously, there is an Episcopal church in Center City. It's one of the older ones, built in the 18th century. And it brought, one of the Cope ships brought the bells to that church. So whenever the Cope ships came up the river, they also would ring bells locally, and we know that. When one of the ships went down in a gale, they actually rang a dirge on the bells when they had heard of it. It was the first and most successful, there might have been one before it, but it wasn't really a full line of packet ships. And packet ships carried both passengers, actually primarily passengers, and goods. And it lasted about, the line lasted about 70 years and produced many hundreds of thousands of dollars for the family. So as the family got richer and lost a little bit of their Quaker ways, but not a lot except through marriage, they began to build houses on the property for relatives, blood relatives and relatives by marriage. The interesting thing to me is that they managed to locate the properties in a design called cluster housing, which you actually have a lot of in Florida, which was pretty new in the middle of the 20th century. They did it so that everybody felt like everybody owned the whole estate. You had some adjacent houses, but it was difficult for us to see in and realize there were 22 to 24 of them around here. The most you can see at any one time is about 3. And the transportation, the roads are limited. Instead of having a grid system like the rest of the city, it's more like a rural village. So it's sort of an early version of, I'm trying to think what the plantation Florida is sort of an example of that, looking back at another style. And then what happened was the construction continued on the site from the late 1850s to the 1950s. So we have a full century of styles in architecture, even though most of the styles look back. The last house done has solar heating on the roof, although it looks like it could be an 18th century house. It's kind of colonial reproduction. The others run the full gamut from Elizabethan Tudor through arts and crafts to colonial revival in the 1870s, and then again in the 1920s. And you can probably guess why it occurred then. It occurred around the centennial, 1876, and the sesquicentennial,